Hey everybody, Tom Barnes, Stories from the 78, and I'm joined by a longtime friend of mine on the north side of Chicago, Orly. How are you?
How are you, Tom?
I'm wonderful. It's been
Good
a
to
it's been
see
a
your
hot
face.
minute. Yeah, it's been a hot minute
Yes.
since we last talked, and lo and behold, I'm at home working in the office here, and all of a sudden I see you on TV, and it says something about Chicago bad moms in comedy and at Zanies, and I'm like, what is going on? And I watch the segment. When did you start doing comedy?
I started doing comedy 2 years ago. It's actually my 2 year anniversary right now of doing comedy, of getting on a stage. I love it.
Congratulations.
It was right. Remember we had the first break of the pandemic and we're like, we're done. So I went to the Lincoln Lodge. And if you've never been, you should
Oh yeah.
totally go. It's an amazing place. And I went to the washroom and there was a sign that said, have you ever thought about taking stand up comedy? I'm like, I am now. I'm thinking about it now. So I took a class and I fell in love with it, and that was it. And because I do marketing and public relations for a living, I just started seeing where my comedy might fit in. Because as
Hmm.
much as I love the Lincoln Lodge, I don't do a lot of thrift store shopping, and I'm not 20 years old, and I don't ride a fixie, so I don't really fit in there all the time. So I'm like, where are my people? And so I came up with this idea about the Bad Moms of Comedy, and we called up a PTA and said, hey, let's do a fundraising event for you. And I gathered up a bunch of moms, and it just took off. And we are jam booked. It's amazing. So it's me. I have a roster of 80 female, some of them moms, some of them single, some of them cat moms. It doesn't matter. And we do shows all over Chicago.
So this is something that you started. You did the comedy, and then you started this group of women that are badass. Because I'm guessing a lot of them didn't have comedy background like yourself, but then
So they
and
did.
some
That
do.
was the thing. Yeah. So some of them had been doing it for 20 years, some of them 7 years, some of them just a few months.
Right.
And uh, we know, let's face it, you want to relate to the person that you're laughing with. And so we know there's a whole bunch of moms that really could use a laugh. And honestly, dads too. Dads love Bad
Sure.
Moms of Comedy too.
I was gonna say,
And
well, what guy doesn't love a female, a mom who's funny? That's
I
sexy
can
in
name a
itself.
few. I can name
Well,
a
they're
few,
idiots. They
Tom,
don't know.
actually. Like, I think Dave Chappelle is one of them.
Ah,
Not a big
well.
fan.
Well,
But
this is
yeah,
not
so
his show. This
guys,
is mine. So,
that's right, Tom Barnes. I was about to say stories from the 78, and yet she's not yet 78. So that's what I was laughing about in my head at the beginning. But yeah, so it's we do hour and a half shows, we do PTA fundraisers, we do zanies. We're doing the Sandwich Opera House coming up in November, which is going to be amazing. It's a gorgeous location out west. We have so many. We're going to be doing theater on the lake in January, so it's really we're having a good time making people laugh.
so how did you convince all these other ladies to join in? The ones that perhaps didn't have a lot of comedy chops, and the ones
Um,
that did have comedy
the
chops,
ones that
trust
did were
somebody,
harder.
right? Because trust somebody that didn't historically have comedy chops, but you do have PR background. So,
Yes. So I have a PR background, entrepreneurial background, and I think because I'm an adult, they were like, okay, maybe she knows what she's doing. And I said, listen, check out, I do PR, check out my website for that. I have clients that trust me. I know how to negotiate deals. I know how to take care of people on a set. It's the same thing as producing on a stage, at least in my brain it was.
yeah.
And that's what it was. I mean, I had to prove myself to some comics, and the ones that were like, I don't know, she's only been doing this 2 years. She know what she's doing. When they finally say yes to being on Bad Moms of Comedy, they come off the stage and they're like, I am sorry I doubted you. Like, this is an amazingly well run show. Look at 95 women in here laughing, eating, having a good time. It's it's such a great night.
That's that's so awesome. I mean, just because I've known you for a long time, and you always have been lovely, and you
But
always
not
had a
funny. Lovely, but not funny.
no. You didn't let me finish. We always could joke and not take everything like it, I think great relationships in general. You don't take yourselves too seriously. You joke, you jab at each other, right? You were always that way with me, and I always loved working with you. So, to my surprise, I see you and you're on Kelly Clarkson show. Like that had to be terrifying and awesome all at once, because that's a national show, huge, and it's Kelly Clarkson, and the world saw you. That's got to be incredible.
It was, all of this happened way faster than I thought it was. A lot of people say when you start doing comedy, you really don't know your voice for the first few years, and you're really just working. You're going to open mics, you're getting to know other comics, you're honing in on your jokes and your voice and your sound. I did it a little backwards. So I started Bad Momz of Comedy, right? And I invited the Chicago Parent Magazine to come see the show. And she said, I can't see the show, but can you write me an op-ed about what it's like just being a 40-something-year-old mom with kids and going into comedy? So I did. And the Kelly Clarkson Show happened to read it. So they called me. I hadn't even been doing comedy a year. So when you say it must have been frightening being on the Kelly Clarkson Show, let me tell you how scary it was. I finally found a level of anxiety that made me stop eating. I was like, oh, I found it. I found it. I could stop eating. I lost like 5 pounds that week. Don't worry, I gained it right back because In-N-Out Burger is amazing in California. Oh, sure. But they're like, yeah, we want you to be on the show, and we want a couple of the moms that you have, and we're going to have you talk to Jay Leno, and then you're going to perform on stage. And I'm like, I'm going to go throw up now. This is
Wait,
crazy.
Hold on.
And they kept asking the moms, how has it really changed your life? How has Bad Momz of Comedy changed your life? I'm like, I haven't changed their lives. Like, I'm just giving them another avenue to do comedy. They do comedy in their own right on stages across Chicago, across the country. I just give them another opportunity. And yeah, it was nutty. It was really nutty. And I look back on that because that was a year ago. We're literally celebrating the year ago that I was on the Kelly Clarkson Show. I'm like, oh my gosh, my jokes have totally improved. My presence has improved. You know, you just keep learning.
And that was
a really long answer to yes, I was totally freaking out.
That's fine. No, I appreciate the honesty. And I got to imagine though, just doing something like that, it's not a small task to get up in front of people, period, let alone to tell jokes, to make the jokes funny, for the jokes to land. And then also when the jokes don't land, how do you react to that? How do you move past it? How do you not? I mean, I'm sure people behave, but I'm sure there's some that don't, that might heckle in the background at something that you've done, which has got to be terrifying, right? Because you're like, all of a sudden you forget the joke and you're honing in on the boo, and you have to like reprogram your brain to just shut that out and just keep going. I mean, how have you dealt with that?
It's so interesting. If you think about it, Tom, we deal with that every day in our life, right? We are vulnerable every day when we present something to our bosses or our kids, or to just a stranger. And you have to say, okay, if they're not going to accept that, or if they're not going to like it, or if they're going to react negatively, what is my reaction? So it was, as an adult, I think I've been through enough being turned down enough that like that was okay. I was okay with that. It was, for me, the frightening part was just being up there and remembering everything.
Yeah, that's gotta be hard too.
Practice makes perfect. It's just you gotta keep, if you're thinking about doing comedy, or anybody that's watching this thinking about doing comedy, you have to go to open mics. You have to write. You have to go to open mics. You have to practice your craft. No one just wakes up one day and turns into a chef from a linea, right? Like, you got to learn how to whisk eggs. You have to learn how to do this. It's the same thing with comedy. And you never stop learning. So yeah, it's very vulnerable being up there, but it is also such a joy to make people laugh, and to be able to bring these women, these funny comics, onto a stage at Bad Momz of Comedy, get them a huge audience, get them laughter. It just makes you keep wanting to be better and to keep going. But yes, there are days that you bomb. That does happen.
Do you, on those days, have you had a fight with yourself to not keep going? Or have you had a fight where you're like, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. I don't do this. I don't need this people yelling at me. They're a bunch of jerks. Why do I do this to myself?
Yeah, but then we say that also with our kids. We say that also with our spouses.
That's so
We
true.
say that also with our family and whatever. And then we remember that it's just that moment that maybe wasn't the most ideal, that the positive moments outweigh the negative ones. And that's why we stay at our jobs too. Um, but yeah, there are amazing highs and amazing lows in comedy, especially when you know you can make a room full of people laugh and you have to stop talking because they have to get the laugh out. That's how funny you are. And then the next day you do the same joke in front of a bunch of other people and everyone just sort of looks at you and you're like, that killed yesterday. That was so good yesterday. But that's okay because it's okay. But yeah, I talk to myself about this every day. I'm like, why are we doing this?
Well,
But the good outweighs the bad.
yeah, I'm a big believer in doing things that make you uncomfortable, because that's the only way you learn and grow, right?
Yeah. So are you wearing Spanx right now? How comfortable are you? Like, I mean,
No,
what
I let
level
it
of
free form.
comfortability?
I'm lucky I'm dressed right now at this point, but
Oh, thanks. Oh, great. I put on like jewelry and makeup. You're like, I don't have pants.
no, 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 no. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm
Okay.
fantastic.
Okay. Good. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
you do
but
have
I
to do
big
something uncomfortable. Sometimes every day is a little overwhelming for people, and that's okay. You know, but go out of your comfort zone. You will be surprised at the strength and the power that you have when
right,
you
and
tackle it.
when you do that, you go out of your comfort zone and you get rewarded in a way you never ever had thought could be rewarded when it surprises you. That is a feeling that is hard to replicate. And once you figure that out, whatever that is for you, you want to have more of that. So therefore, you make yourself uncomfortable again to do something else. And then when you're done, you're like, that was the best thing ever. I love this,
Right. Right. Like you just got married recently, right?
Yes, a
Yeah.
year and a few months ago.
Right. So, but that, you had to go on a date with this person. That was uncomfortable. You're like, are we going to like each other? Blah, blah, blah. Like, you do this
Especially in your late 30s.
so much more time again, then maybe you want to rethink it. But yeah, look for the payoff.
Absolutely. Orly, where can people find information about your comedy troupe and all the events you have coming up and the whole thing?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for letting me plug. I really appreciate it. So everything is on chicagocomedyworks.com. You can find me on all the socials at Orly KG Comedy, so K.G. Comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can also do the Bad
Common
Moms
spelling.
with a Z, Bad Moms, because we're bad. Um, and Bad Moms of Comedy is also all the different places as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so
Come,
much.
come to the show. Have
I,
fun. This is the thing I want to tell moms and dads. It is so easy to just stay home. You
oh,
come
it
home,
is.
the shoes are off, the bra's off. You're like, I'm done. Just go back out. Have a good night. Give yourself a treat. You deserve it. You give your kids treats. You give your work people treats. Give yourself a treat. Give yourself a night out. Have fun with Bad Moms.